Hey y'all, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we are doing the 13th recipe from the Cherry Cheesecake Murder. They are called Angel Kisses. Those 2 pages right there. Let's start off by saying we are preheating the oven to 275 degrees. Rack in the middle position. That's 275 degrees, not a misprint. So what you're gonna want is 3 egg whites, save the yolks in the refrigerator to add scrambled eggs, a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup white granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons flour, that's 1/8 cup, and approximately 30 Hershey Kisses, unwrapped, or any other small chocolate candy. So you're basically gonna mix up a meringue. You're gonna take your baking sheets, line them with parchment paper. It does say that works best, or brown parcel wrapping paper. Spray the paper with Pam or other nonstick cooking spray and dust it lightly with flour. I'm using that one with flour already in it. It's what works for me. Hannah's note, these are a lot easier to make with an electric mixer, but you can also do them by hand with a copper bowl and a whisk. If anyone has any idea why copper is listed, like exactly copper bowl, not like glass bowl, but copper, I would love to know why. Okay. So once you have your meringue made up, you're gonna drop little, it doesn't say an exact, just drop little mounds of dough on your paper lined cookie sheet. So if you place 4 mounds in a row and you have 4 rows, you'll end up with 16 cookies per sheet. That is also something we're doing that's different because normally it's 12 per sheet. But you're gonna place a Hershey Kiss on top of each cookie, and then you're gonna take more of your meringue and put that on top to cover it up. So you're basically making a meringue cookie with a Hershey Kiss inside. You're gonna line them on the paper on wire racks, and once the cookies are completely cool, you can peel them off. And it says, store them in an airtight container. A cupboard shelf is fine, just not the refrigerator. Yield 3 to 4 dozen cookies with a nice chocolate surprise in the center. I am not surprised this recipe doesn't really make that much, because when you see the ingredients laid out in a minute, it is not very much going into these cookies. So everything is all laid out in the kitchen. Let's get in there and get started. This is literally all we are using today, just 7 things. So separated egg whites. It does say to make sure they're room temperature because they'll whip up better. Cream of tartar. Vanilla. So everything but the flour, it seems. All your small amounts. And the salt. Okay, we're just going to whip those until they have a stiff enough to hold a soft peak. So we're looking for a soft peak. That looks like a soft peak to me. So we are going to start gradually adding in the sugar, a 1/4 cup at a time. That should be about 4 additions of sugar. All right, now we are mixing in the flour, or sprinkling the flour and mix it in at low speed. Okay, so I'm just gonna sprinkle it in all the way around. At low, so whatever you can do to make it stay there. Alright. I am going to start off by seeing how well a tablespoon mounts up, but this looks really big. So I might end up using the 1/2 tablespoon. Actually, I think I'm gonna try this one first. I don't want to set those in the oven. Look at that. All right. Okay, so that's not coming out. I do think that a 1/2 a tablespoon works really well. I don't know how I want to do these, like where to put them to get 16. Because last time they spread a lot. I'm worried about that happening again. I don't want them to spread into each other. I think that we're just going to call this one a learning tray. And see how everything turns out. Because nothing is where it's supposed to be. I think I have these so far away from the edge. I think if you actually get 16 per tray and you get 3 or 4 trays, you're not going to have nearly enough of these unwrapped. If I had thought about the math on that earlier, I probably would have realized something didn't sound right. But I have more Hershey Kisses just in case. They're not unwrapped though. Now we cover. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cover it, and then I'm going to try to see if it'll cover itself while I cover the rest. Because with the first one, I kind of had to maneuver the meringue around the Hershey Kiss, and I'm kind of hoping gravity will do that work for me. And as for gravity, it did not help. So I'm just going to go through and try to make sure all the meringue reaches the bottom so that the Hershey Kiss is covered. I kind of feel if you had the right size piping tip for this, you probably could have piped this a lot faster. Like a round one, just a little dollop, Hershey Kiss, little dollop. You would have had it covered right. But you'd need one about the size of the Hershey Kiss, and I just don't have one of those. But I'm saying, if you have one, it probably would make this a very streamlined process. I personally did not realize until I read through the recipe this morning that we would be covering the Hershey Kiss. I thought it was just going to be like a topped thing, like you'd make the meringue and put it in when it came out of the oven. Like, I know what those cookies are called off the top of my head, but I make them all the time. They're usually with the peanut butter ones, but I've seen them done with others. We have finished our first tray. Here's what they look like. Now I'm just going to scoop up the rest and we'll see how many we end up with. Okay, so I finally got everything done. And you'll notice that the smaller ones do end up having a lot more because I realized all of these had to go in my oven at the same time. There are 60 of them. So hopefully they don't spread too much because otherwise those little trays are going to be interesting. They're going to go in for 40 minutes until they're slightly golden, and then they're just going to sit on a wire rack until they are ready to be peeled off. So here we have all 60 of them. These are the Angel Kisses, all done. You can see just a tiny little hint of the Hershey Kiss in the center. Those are really good. They're crunchy and sweet. They dissolve pretty quickly in your mouth. I like these a lot. There's something fun, I think, for at home, like a small family, because it doesn't make very many. Like, I foresee all of these being gone within, they might be gone by tonight for all I know, but they'll definitely be gone by tomorrow night. So it's 2 days, maybe. And I just don't think the amount of time it took to do it the way I did it really seems worth it. And especially in like a large batch to like give away for Christmas or something like that, I don't think this would be ideal. Granted, could you have piped them a lot faster? Probably. And that would have made a huge difference as well. Oven space is another factor. I tried to get all of them in at the same time. It didn't work, as you can see, because the one set was quite different, darker than the other. Those did not work that way. I don't know if you can make them all up and just let them sit in your house as you move them in and out of the oven. I didn't know if I could do that or not. And the flies today are terrible, so I didn't want to do that either. You can't put them in the fridge because it literally says, do not put me in the fridge in recipe. I think it's something to do with the meringues and the sugar. I don't know exactly, but they are cute. They are very, very delicious, like dangerously delicious. I feel with the piping tip, it would have been a lot faster. And I think knowing how to get them in and out of the oven, or having like those double ovens, those people are so lucky. That way you could put all 4 trays in at the same time, no problems. But next week we're doing the last recipe in the cherry cheesecake murder, which is the ooey gooey chewy cookie bars. If you are interested in those, join us next week. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.